So the remainder of the investigation, in terms of the collision itself, we followed up on, given the taxi violations that are overseen by the town of Cobourg. The taxi issues were left with Mr. Larmer for follow-up in that regard. Basically, when I concluded the investigation of that collision, that concluded my involvement.
Thank you. At this time, I guess we'll go back to the municipal clerk, but I would ask you to stick around because if the councillor or the appellant has questions of clarifications there.
To Chair, I just have one, just a question for PC Kelly Mason. Just if I can approach her.
Yes, Mr. Larmer.
So this is our exhibit. It's hard to see the license plate, but I just want to say, based on the damage, based on the vehicle as well as the A1 taxi number, would this be safe to say that it looks similar to the vehicle that went in that collision on December 6th?
Yes, it does, and just for further on that, I noted the license plate to be CCXK367, and I can see in the photo here, definitely the last digits are 67 on this plate, even though it's skewed.
But same color?
Same color, same car, no markings,
Okay.
no decorating on the
And
door.
damage?
Damage
What
is
was that?
consistent. That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Larmer. At this point, is it okay if members of council ask questions of clarity or?
PC Mason, sure. Yeah.
Councillor Darling?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question, was there any charges laid under the Highway Traffic Act in this incident?
No.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from members of council at this time? Seeing none, before we proceed, Mr. Larmer, I would just like to, I missed one thing early on. Is there any declarations of pecuniary interest from members of council? Seeing none, thank you.
Just summarize to council on tab 4, page 46, what I described to PC Mason was a photograph taken by law enforcement officers of a vehicle that's damaged belongs to A1 taxi, which is indicated as the taxi taken off the road on the incident. That was, through evidence from PC Kelly Mason, presented here today, operating as an unlicensed taxi cab with an unlicensed driver on December 6th, when the restriction and license suspension was still on A1 taxi. Now coming to a reasonable sale of the town, on December 6, 2019, at around 3:06 p.m., A1 Taxi submitted 2 applications for renewals for taxi cab vehicle licenses. Normally the town of Cobourg provides a 7-day window period to process these requests, but with appropriate documentation, the town expedited this process to meet December public transportation needs and issued taxi cab license 229. The town of Cobourg provided licensing information to the Cobourg Police Services to assist with the enforcement of taxi bylaw provisions that the 2 out of the original 9 licenses were now issued. This can be found in tab 4, page 48. Vehicle work records and inspection photos can be found tab 6, page 60 to 70, and tab 70, page 71 to 80. Page 70 will provide you information related to Black Taxi License 224, insurance, proof of insurance, as well as various pictures on the body of the vehicle, the VIN, the tires, insurance, safeties, and ownership. Tab 8, sorry, apologize. That was tab, yeah, sorry, page 61 is 229. And tab 771 is 224. So 63, 62 will show you inspection photos related to the taxi cab and ownership, as well as safeties and insurance. Proceeding on, from December 6th, 2 vehicles were licensed by the town of Cobourg, provided by calibrations and signed off by the town of Cobourg. On December 10th, 2020, the town of Coburg received notice from the town's bank that the check submitted to the town in the amount of $300 for the taxi cab license issued on December 6, 2019 could not be processed, and that funds related to the account were frozen, not cleared. Therefore, the license issued on December 6, 2020 were null and void without sufficient licensing payment. A1 Taxi was provided notice and the town received cash payment through debit to rectify the situation and became compliant within the 24-hour periods. Once A1 Taxi was notified of this, they did submit payment. Now submitting to tab 5. First, non-compliance issues with A1. This resulting back to May 3rd, 2019. The town of Coburg provided formal notice to A1 Taxi with a warning of potential suspension of taxi cab licenses unless compliance was met as outlined with the notice on the basis of reasons for the suspension. On May 3rd, 2019, roughly 2:45 p.m., a licensed A1 taxi cab vehicle pulled up outside the east end of Victoria Hall. The town of Coburg officer approached the taxi cab to verify a taxi cab driver's license. The driver was not legally licensed as a taxi cab driver in the town of Coburg. Shortly after, a passenger entered the passenger side of the taxi cab as the driver did not process a valid taxi cab driver license. By law enforcement could not let the fare proceed as per the taxi cab bylaw. This relates to bylaw infraction on the taxi cab bylaw section 5.2.1a. Still bidding on with this process, the town of Coburg licensing officer was informed of the situation regarding the unlicensed driver and called A1 Taxi and spoke to the dispatcher. The dispatcher was informed of the situation and stated that they were unaware that the driver was not licensed. Section 5.2.1a of the bylaw states that no owner shall permit the operation of taxi cab by a person who is not a licensed driver. The licensing officer then proceeded to request another licensed taxi cab with the licensed taxi cab driver be dispatched to accommodate the outstanding fare. The licensing officer was informed by the dispatcher that the company was backlogged and extremely busy and could not send anyone out. Approximately 10 minutes later, another A1 taxi cab pulled up to take the fare. The driver displayed his taxi cab driver's license to the bylaw officer, then drove off very quickly. As this was a quick transaction, the bylaw officer was unable to confirm that the pickup met the requirements of the taxi cab bylaw. The town later verified that this taxi cab vehicle was not licensed to operate in the town of Coburg. This deals with section 3.1 of the taxi cab bylaw infraction, section 5.2.1f, section 7.3.1b, section 7.41c, and section 7.4.1e. With a new contravention of the taxi cab bylaw was found out and discovered by the town, the licensing officer then called A1, and this is for the second time. A1 Taxi and then spoke with another dispatcher and informed him of the situation and requested trip sheets for this date. The dispatcher then handed the phone to another dispatcher. The licensing officer informed A1 for the third time of the situation, and as our licensing officer explained to all previous dispatchers that she was a licensing officer for taxi cabs and drivers for the town of Coburg, who deals consistently with all owners in my absence as my designate. The A1 dispatcher was quite rude even after she informed him that she was the licensing officer. He stated he was unaware the taxi cab was not licensed and he was coming down to obtain a license for the vehicle, which he did not. Section 3.1 of the taxi cab bylaw 14/2014 states no person shall operate or permit the operation of a motor vehicle as a taxi cab in the town of Coburg without an authorized town of Coburg taxi cab license. This can be found in your binders of exhibits of tab 5, pages 51 to 55. A1 Taxi provided the town with the requirements of the notice of suspension and gave the trip sheets to the town of Coburg for the unlicensed driver on the May 3rd, who conducted a total of 46 fares in the town of Coburg unlicensed. The town of Coburg issued provincial offenses fine to unlicensed driver for the offense and also issued a fine to A1 Taxi for allowing unlicensed vehicle and driver to operate under the A1 Taxi business. And this can be found tab 5, page 56 to 59. Further, in the end of December, as well as in January, A1 Taxi did approach the town and did license 2 additional vehicles. License number 239 and license number 148. License number 148 can be found under tab 8 with insurance on page 82, VIN number 84, ownership information page 85, safety 86, as well as owner information again on 87. On page 88 and page 89, as well as page 90, you can see the taxi cab by law enforcement officer inspection photos with rubbish and debris within the interior of the vehicle, as well as cigarette butts that fall in the cracks of the vehicle as well, where the patient's customers reside. Also, you'll see page 91, 92, and 93 vehicles with visible damage, as well as the tires and visible rust. Tab 9, the license number 239, you'll see the insurance information, you'll see the taxi cab. 97, you'll see the VIN. Page 99, you'll see the safety, and page 100, you'll see the ownership information. Now to summarize and provide just one additional exhibit under tab 10, you'll see the town of Cobourg has received some written complaints from individuals. One individual providing a taxi with the interior smoke, as well as backseat 4 contains several bottles and cans generally filthy. You'll see another one of individual of a taxi contract with CCI students regarding that quote that said that there were times where there were no working seatbelts in the cars and many times the drivers would speed and driving the bike lane. Again, this is to drivers, not to the owners, so submitting this evidence not based on suspended, just additional information. Page 103 is 104 as well as taxi cab complaint forms. Section 105 is just a news article received as the clerk pulled it from the public registry, as well as section 106 is another public newspaper article that was provided in 2018. What's wrote in there is that taxi, its license plates removed and was towed away for various defects, including the tires were very worn to the point where there was almost no tread. Mr. Chair and members of council, that is the submissions from council. I'll wait to do my final summary after I've heard the submissions from A1, if there's not any questions.
So at this time, I would ask if the appellant has any questions that they'd like to ask that are relevant to this appeal.
Yes, thank you for giving me the opportunity to, thanks for giving me the opportunity to appeal this, but I want to ask the clerk, is there any bylaw stating that you cannot pick up and take somebody out of town? If any passengers? Is there any restrictions on that one? They're on, yes or no?
So through you, the question is correct. So if a taxi cab, the way our taxi cab bylaw license works is you have to be licensed as a taxi cab license company in the town of Cobourg if you're picking up a fare in the town of Cobourg and delivering it outside the town. If the fare resides within the town of Cobourg, it's still applicable to cross jurisdictions to pick the fare. So you pick up in Cobourg, you drive to Hamilton Township, you still are picking up a fare in Cobourg and that fare is operating. If you are A1 taxi license in Cobourg and you are picking the fare in Port Hope and bringing it to Cobourg, you don't need to be licensed in Cobourg. So if you're picking the fare in Port Hope and you're dropping off in Cobourg, you don't have to be a licensed taxi cab in the town of Cobourg. And sometimes that's confusion based on this because we're so tight municipalities, is that sometimes that confused. But we have businesses that are licensed in Port Hope that actually have to get licensed in here because if an individual from outside of Hamilton Township, Port Hope, right, are picking up or bringing to Cobourg, their fare usually resides in that whole municipality they picked into, so they want to have to keep that patron stranded within the municipality that they're operating in. So for example, if you're licensed Port Hope, you're delivering in Cobourg, you're not licensed Cobourg, you cannot pick up that fare in Cobourg, so you have to be dual licensed, and we do have taxi cab businesses in the town of Cobourg that are licensed here to do that. So so if you're picking up a fare in Cobourg, you have to be licensed. If you're not, you don't have to be. And delivering in Cobourg. Hope that's answered your question.
Is that in the bylaw?
Yes.
It's clear?
Yep, it is.
Now, most of the incidents happen because we're going out of town. Basically, say for somebody who was going from Cobourg to Port Hope, that incident with on the highway 401 with the accident, it was going out of town.